Cian O'Neill for SevereMMA, and today I am joined in person by Invicta FC's, for the very first time, by Invicta FC's newest strawweight champion and Ireland's first strawweight champion for Invicta FC, Danni McCormack. How are you doing, Danny? It's good to see you in person.
Yeah, good to see you in person.
It is. It's been a while.
I feel very honoured. I must be the first person you've interviewed in person.
First person I've interviewed in person now, so it's great to have that, man. You're making history every day. But no, look, let's get straight into it. Look, we're at SBG. We're here for the Irish National Championships, but it's in here in SBG that you put in all the hard work to get that belt that's right there in the middle here.
Yeah.
How was camp? How was it? Did it feel different this time?
Yeah, 100%. Like, when I got the fight, I sent John the message that night, and he said, I'll see you in the morning, like 10 o'clock in the office. So myself and Alan rocked up, and he'd already watched all her fights, and Alan had been watching her fights in secret, like not letting me know before I'd even gotten the title shot. So the two of them were well ahead of me on what she does and doesn't do, and I'd seen bits of her. I hadn't seen a huge amount because I fought the night she fought, whereas I suppose Alan was able to watch it more closely on the night. And then we sat down and we came up with a game plan and started training that day pretty much, and it was a 9-week solid camp, and the agreement was from the start of camp that I'd be in SPG every day at 11 o'clock or earlier if I was sparring, and then I would do pads at home, drills at home, and get running on the altitude machine because of the altitude training. So yeah, camp was solid. We went like 4 weeks straight through because John was heading off to the Ultimate Fighter, and then we did a deload week, and then it was just like a couple of weeks towards the end then when it was just me and Alan here and Dave Roach. Right. So yeah, it was, you know, intense. It was 5 minute by 5 spars with 2 different training partners, and that went on for weeks and weeks, and yeah, I enjoyed it all, and I, you know, got through camp without getting sick or injured, and it was great.
And that was the first time in a while. You said that you had a lot of problems before.
Yeah, well, actually, I tore my LCL 9 weeks out, but it was only like a moderate injury. It wasn't that bad, so it was like 5 days off and then a week just no grappling. So I'm a physio myself, and I was constantly testing it and rehabbing it, so I didn't feel it at all in the fight. But that was 9 weeks out, which is good, and an LCL is a pretty good one. It's not the most important ligament in your knee. Yeah,
100%. So when you signed with Invicta, are you someone like that wants to map too far ahead, or are you just concentrating at one fight at a time? Did you think that you were going to get a title shot this soon in Invicta, and was that the plan overall before you went in there?
Like, the plan was to go in to any promotion, get a belt, and hopefully get signed by the UFC. Like, I don't really care about belts, like, although I'm pretty fond of this one now that I have it beside me. But I'm not like big into accolades or whatever. I just wanted to get into the UFC. So yeah. I said to my manager, Bellator had said, I can't fight in September, the card's full, we'll get you in February. They didn't actually drop me. They just said we were full because I was fighting in July, so I was the last person to get matched, and they hadn't room for me. Right. So I said to my manager, can we move on? You know, we need to get out of Bellator anyway because they have no division. So it was LFA, it was Combacha or Invicta. And Invicta jumped at it. He put feelers out everywhere, they jumped at it. So I just thought, get in, win a few fights, beat the champion, and hopefully go into the UFC. And I didn't really think much more about it. But within a week or two of getting that contract, they told me I was reserved for the tournament. So once I heard that, then I was like, oh sure, I'm well on the way now for this title shot. Yeah. Whether I get it that night or it gives me like a great chance, if I put on a good performance, I might get it next time.
Right. So going and fighting at altitude, how do you find that different to any other place? You had to go, and I seen you with the mask on, and you were sleeping in the tent and everything like that. How was that, doing all of that stuff?
In November I only had 4 weeks, and 4 weeks is the minimum to do, otherwise there's no point doing it. Right. So that was tough. So we were like increasing the levels really quickly. I didn't take any iron back then. You're meant to take an iron supplement, but no one told me. So, because it just kills your iron, like the hemoglobin levels drop. So those 4 weeks were really rough in November. But in November I didn't get tired one bit in the fight, and I adapted to altitude like I don't know what, like I must have Napoleon genetics or something, because it really suits me. And then for this fight, I had 9 weeks and I was like, oh, easy. So we went with the levels easier, but like 4 weeks in, I was already way past what I'd done in November and didn't get breathless in any run, going like way above the level that the actual fight was at.
Right.
So yeah, I'm probably better in altitude because it means they're fucked, because I'm not.
Right.
At all.
Yeah. And like it definitely showed in the fight with Valeska as well. For me, looking back at the fight, I looked at it again this morning. Well, let's talk maybe before the fight. Were you like, did it hit home when you were going out there? Did you have extra nerves going out there for the magnitude of the fight or anything like that, or was it just plain tunnel vision?
Like for every fight, about 10 days before I leave, like I start getting anxious, and I have this habit of like cleaning the whole house constantly. Like I'm either cleaning or I'm on the treadmill doing steps. I can't seem to like settle. Right. So I know something's about to happen, and that happened for this fight, very similar to every other fight. And I stopped sleeping, like I start waking during the night. So going out, it was the exact same as any other fight, and we were really good during camp. The first night I got the title, we celebrated the fact that I could become the first Irish Invicta World Champion, and we celebrated that. And then I said to my brother and I said to Alan, I do not want to hear one word about the title, about history, about all the hype and fluff. I was like, that's finished, because that's going to cripple us now. All I need to focus on is the work. So there was no mention of a belt or a title or anything allowed to be spoken to me. And that still happened when we arrived out there. It was the exact same thing. Trained like any other fight, and in the photo shoot they passed me the belt and I held it up and whatever, and it was like, it was what it was. It didn't mean anything, because none of it matters until the end of those 25 minutes. You can think all the things you want and all the stories, but it's not real. It's Disneyland until you actually win it.
100%. So let's talk about the fight. I watched it back this morning. Your game plan for me was to put the pressure on, get her moving on the back foot and not give her an inch at all. And you started doing that straight away. Then you got hit, you got dropped, and you got dropped again. So the question I'd have for you is that obviously the same thing kind of happened where you got hurt against Stephanie Page. How did that experience help you get through the first round in that championship fight?
Well, I guess like the first thing I want to address is that I do learn from my mistakes. I'm not going to like consistently get dropped in every single fight. Like I'm not going out to do that. After the Stephanie Page fight, we worked a lot on me keeping longer distance, like kicking distance, and just losing my lead hand until I had them backed up. Because I'm a southpaw, open stance is really dangerous compared to closed stance. And for me, that's not like super fast or has got like a big striking background. It's quite dangerous for me to be a southpaw, not really an advantage as I'm more of a wrestler. So after that Stephanie Page fight, we worked loads on my distance, and in the Manuela fight and in the fight in Invicta, I didn't get hit at all, and I kept my distance, and I did all of what I had learned from Stephanie Page. But during this fight camp, John and Alan like literally with like a stick behind me, pushing me forward, telling me to grapple, put a pace on. So I was just saying to Kieran Clark this morning that even that I had that bad experience in February, the minute the fight started, I ran out into boxing range, and I was like right here in the boxing range, and her right hand could just land and land.
That's it. Well, you're at danger at that from southpaw and orthodox as well. It's the straight right, that's or your straight left and her straight right.
Absolutely.
Would be the most dangerous.
The power
punch.
shot.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of camp, getting in my head, get in there, get her on her, put a pace on her, get grappling, and I probably took that to another level where I jumped into boxing range. So I know what I did wrong, that's what happened, and I'm able to keep a longer distance, but I probably needed to start the fight maybe a little bit more relaxed and not get dropped twice.
Yeah, 100%. That would be a good idea, all right. But like one difference I also noticed with that as well, whether you did it on purpose or not, with Stephanie Page, I think you tried to gut it out maybe a little bit too much, whereas that you kind of dropped back in and you know, you shot back up the first time, but you had a little bit more time to recover on your back
Yeah.
And you recovered quite quickly. Like, we all seen the physicality and what it does to you physically when you get dropped. What does it do to you mentally when, first of all, you get dropped once and you get back up and you're like, okay, let's reset, and then it happens again. Did it take you a little bit where, like, how hurt were you in that first round?
Like, mentally, I don't take a hit at all. Like, I don't seem to think I'm losing ever. Like, even when I'm getting dropped, it doesn't bother me. I'm not like, I don't sulk. I don't, like, you know, think, oh, I'm a loser now, or like play the victim. None of that. I still thought I was going to win the fight. The only thing that made me anxious was when I was on my back and she was hitting me. I was like super dazed with the second one. First one I wasn't at all. It was just a flash knockdown. I was back up. The second one I was really dazed. I didn't really know where I was. But the referee said, Danny, you got to fight back. And then he said, Danny, you got to fight back a second time. And the minute he said it a second time, I like leant forward and caught her head, because I thought there ain't a third one coming. So that at that point I go, oh no, it's gonna end, and I didn't get a chance to get going. So for that split second I was like, oh no. But other than that, no, I didn't think at any point the fight was going to go any other way. I thought I was going to get up and I was going to
100%. And like, you shook off the cobwebs, you swept her, and you got back up to the up to your feet against the cage, and that's the way you finished out the first round. The second round, how clear was the head going into the second round? What was John and Alan saying to you in between rounds? I'm sure it was fairly lively.
Oh my God. Well, like, after the first round, by the time I had like got halfway back to my corner, the cuts man, like, I don't know how he managed to like put himself right in the cage as if before the door was even open, because he was right there, and he like caught my head and he went like to me straight away. I was like, oh, Jesus. And he goes, do not blow your nose. Like, screamed at me, and I was like, okay. And then he like put me down on a stool, and next thing I had John, and then I had Alan. I was like, these lads need to calm down. And John came in and he goes, you've had your fun now. And he's like, get on the game plan. He was like, thick. And I was like laughing to myself, I've had my fun. He thinks I'm doing this because I enjoy it. I was like, I don't. And then Alan was like, you're going to shoot. Do not take any more right hands. You're not striking now. Listen to me. You're not striking. Level change. She's going to throw the backhand. You're going to shoot in. Close the distance, shoot. And the lads who are usually super calm, and I have them trained. I told them all camp, I want one line each. I want positivity and I want something to work on. I want you to get my heart rate down. I want you to tell me I'm great. Give me a little bit of water. Give me a pat on the back. These lads, they did none of that. They came in like erratic in front of me, thick. So they were. So anyway, they really gave it to me in the corner. And when I went back, I was like, okay. I was half afraid of them rather than not losing, to not do what I was told, which was to get in and get grappling. And I suppose every time I went back to the corner, it was the same thing. The boys got in my face. The cuts man was like an expert at sorting out my face, and he was whispering in my ear, you've only 2 rounds left, you've only 1 round left. He was like egging me on, and it was kind of rinse and repeat from them. And John and Alan slapped me a few times as I was about to get off the chair. I like hit, and I was like, these boys, like,
they're going
so they were totally different than they've ever been before.
Well, the stakes were pretty high, like, in fairness. But stay talking about the fight. There's the mental battle that was won obviously by Valeska when she dropped you, but your recovery was you kind of winning back that mental battle. But I thought there was a stage in round 2 where she shot for a takedown. And me watching a fighter who had dropped another fighter in the first round shooting for a takedown, that meant to me that she was struggling to find her way in the fight and stuff like that. So I felt that there was another mini mental battle won in round 2 when she shot for the takedown. When did you feel personally in there that pendulum shifted with
round
momentum?
1.
Round 1 at the end of it.
When I had her up against the cage, she does what she does in all her fights. She like flattened her back and she like looked out into the audience, because you can like feel that she's not using head position, and she let off this big sigh. And I was like, I got you now. It's like, why did you do that? You know, it makes no sense. So she let off that sigh, and then she kind of like walked back to her corner like a bit defeated. And I was like, but you won that round. So in the second round, I knew she was going to go for that takedown, because she does that when she doesn't want to pace.
Right.
So when she gets a bit tired, she tries to get that like double leg into a trip. She'll just lie on you, and she tries to recover on top. So I knew that's what was coming next, because she kind of blew her load, and then she felt like, oh, I could have won, and I didn't. And now she really didn't want 20 more minutes of this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was round one. She showed me the first sign of.
Perfect. And then I felt then going in, obviously, to come back, you won round 2, 3, 4 and 5 for me, clearly, without any question. There was some, not by anyone, it was just random YouTube comments that were saying, oh, it should have been a 10-8 first round or anything like that. It didn't warrant a 10-8 first round to me. I thought the fact that you got back to your feet, you recovered, and you finished with her back against the cage, that kind of cemented the 10-9 for me. At the end of round 3, you started sitting down on your punches a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that was impressive too, because sometimes when you get dropped, you can be a little bit hesitant as well. So I was very happy to see.
Talk to John Cavan about that.
Oh, yeah.
Things have no sense. Because I could hear them saying, stop striking. What are you doing? Like, I'd have shot in for a few takedowns. I'd be like, right, I've quietened them for a while. And then I'd be like, right, I'm going to hit her now. And the boys were like, for fuck's sake. So no, never. I never think I'm going to die, ever. I always think I'm going to hit her, and I see a bit of blood, and she would make facial expressions, and like I hit her like 3 times and I like hurt her. I didn't really, it was just that she reacted badly, and when she did that, I was like, imagine if I stopped her on the feet now. But anyway, the lads had too much of a leash on me that I didn't get to go more. But no, like I just want to fight. Like at the end of the day, I want to win, but I want to fight, and I like punching people, I like violence, and holding someone against the cage with double underhooks is as boring for me as it is to watch. So
well, I say it's better to win ugly than lose, to be honest. But like, fair play, you matched them up both perfectly. With like, obviously you were more dominant in the grappling exchange, you were stronger in the clinch. When the fight was all said and done, you know, did the open scoring help you? Were you getting told in between rounds?
I'm pretty Sean Sheehan's not here now, because I tell you, like, from a personal experience point of view, like, what a brilliant thing to have.
Yeah.
So like, I won 1, and then in 2, like, or last one, sorry. And after 2, I could see like them, Alan and John, keep looking up, because your man has the iPad. And then next thing, they see it, and their face changes, and they're like, we got that one. And I'm like, yeah, go on. And then it's just like this mental build-up all the way along. And even if it said I didn't get that one, I would have been fine too, because I'd be like, right, come on, we got to do more now. Like, I like knowing what's happening. There's nothing worse than standing there and your man holding your hand, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, you don't know what's going on.
Sure. Like, I don't know why we shouldn't get to know. If whatever the audience don't want to know, fine, but like, they could let us know discreetly, because without you know. And I definitely, I thought it was class.
There you go, Shawnee, you're going to be fighting a losing battle on that one, so yeah. But
I'll give him a chat about it during the week or something. He probably won't send me his number on WhatsApp.
So look, you got the belt, you got the result, and I have never witnessed a broadcast ever watching MMA where there was such raw emotion from yourself in the cage, from all the commentators, everything. It was like a few of the, I think it was Megan Anderson, they were all crying, and you could see them visibly emotional when the result was being read out. And obviously your post-fight interview is one that will go down in history. It was just pure raw emotion. What were the feelings there when, just after the fight, when you were getting the belt put around your waist?
Yeah, like, I just couldn't believe it. Like, I just felt like I couldn't believe it. And when she put the belt around me, like, God honest truth, I'd forgotten about the belt. And that was like 9 weeks of not thinking about the belt. And then I was just so happy. I was going to get my hand raised, and as my hand was raised, this thing came around me, and I was like, oh my God. And my face was like shocked. That it was just amazing. It was because I had it completely blocked out, and I was happy I got through adversity. I was happy my family was so happy, and my corner was so happy for me, and and they were proud. But then this was like just a huge like bonus then to get given this belt. It was just, yeah, it was crazy feeling. It just, like, I felt like I made it, like finally, like I made it, and I made it the way I wanted to make it, like the Danni McCormack way, the hard way, the way John Cavanagh fucking hates. That can kill me about now next week when I come back to the gym.
Yeah. But look, there are a couple of things that you mentioned during the interview that I wanted to talk to you about. Was first thing that you said, you've always felt that you wanted to prove to people and to yourself that you were something. Where did that kind of mentality come from?
Like, it definitely came since I was a small child, like when I was like super confident, like little girl that was like totally just into herself and really independent, and I started riding horses, and like I suppose I always felt that like people kind of like joked about me or laughed about me and never took me seriously, and like out of my family, like even my cousins, they were always like better at Irish dancing and better at school and better at everything. But you know, when I didn't have a lot of girl friends, I was kind of like an outsider, and I always thought like I had these like things in my head even from that small age that I'm going to do something, I'm going to be something, and they think, they laugh now, or they think this about me, but look what I'm going to achieve. And from that, like, I did go and achieve loads of things through my life. Like, I got more points than everyone in my family. It's like, fuck you. I won that one first. And then I went to college and I became a physio, and I did well with the horses. I won like 2 red rosettes in the RDS, which is the most prestigious show in the country, and I did it with like a Roscommon team in a hunt chase before, with when Roscommon had never done that competition ever before. First time we'd ever gotten into the RDS, first year we'd ever been on the circuit, and we were basically laughed at by everyone up there, and we won, and we bet the top team. So I've kind of like just rolled with this. But you know, Dan Healy, who looks after the fighters here, he's been trying to get me to retire since Stephanie Page. Because he says you should go and open a business and forget about fighting, and he doesn't think I have the timeline to get into the UFC and be a champion, and if I can't do that, he doesn't see why I should take any more headshots. So you know, it was really when he spoke to me last November before my last fight, I had to get an assessment, and he said, you know, you're doing this to like punish yourself. You're trying to prove something to yourself. He's like, I know you long enough now, and you're clearly like not happy. You're still trying to prove. He's like, can you stop trying to do this? And then I thought about it, and I was like, that is actually what I'm doing. Deep down, why did I have mental struggles? Why do I get stressed and anxious? And it's that deep down, I don't really believe in myself. Even though I'm confident, I believe at the biggest opportunity on the greatest stage, I will fall. And that's what happened in the IMAFs. When I was in Mount Bottom in the final round and I was getting the head punched off me, I said to myself, when it matters most, Danny, you will lose. And I remember saying that to myself, and I've kind of held that for many years. So finally, when it matters the most, I didn't lose. And I just feel like I've come over that hill now, and I've done it. Like, I've done what I was set out to do when I was like 4.
Because like even what you were saying there, all your achievements with college and physio and with the horse riding, like that's a fair set of achievements to have. And I think that we all have that me versus me mentality. You're always your own worst enemy at times as well. But
I call it not being in your own corner. People have lots of people in their corners, but are they 100% in their corner? Because if they're not, they definitely shouldn't be fighting. Like, I 100% have to be with me, because they can only help me so much. But if I don't believe in me, when I'm in a bad situation in a fight, I'm going to quit, I'm going to panic, I'm going to whatever. But you got to always be in your own corner. That you're the most important person 100%. In your own life.
And that mindset has changed now with that title in the middle there, has it?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it has. It's just, I feel like finally, like, I broke that like, I'm happy with myself now. And you know what? I like to think even if I didn't win on Wednesday, I would have been happy with like what I'd achieved in that camp and what I achieved in that fight. And I never gave up on myself. I just kept believing in myself. But this, obviously added an extra like layer to that by actually being the winner. You know, means a lot.
Felt that release came during that interview as well, where you just finally came to terms with it, where, like, you know, you're proud of yourself as well as everybody everybody else being proud of you.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know, I don't even really like prep the interviews, it just kind of happens, and that's how I felt in the moment. And I wanted to give my mammy a shout out.
That's what I was going to ask you next.
She's a great woman.
Yeah, your mum and your brother got a good shout out as well, and they obviously have been a great support to you. You said, you know, your mum was always very supportful. Is there a conversation or something that she had said to you in the past that, you know, would have stuck with you?
Like, I just remember from being really small, her constantly building me up, and like, she treated me like I was like a princess, like I was something special. And I don't mean a princess in a girly girl kind of way, but like that I was like the Queen of England or whatever. You know, she treated me like everything was about Danny and everything was about Alex, my brother, as well. And my parents split up when we were 7, and Mum even took that to a whole new level because she wanted to be like a mum and a dad for us, and she always said, you can do and be whatever you want to be. You just have to work hard. There's nothing that you can't do or can't be. There was no limits to anything, and she told us that constantly. Any little win, any little achievement, she constantly praised us and built us up and told us we were great. And like, I was small, little chubby, pale, huge glasses, a patch on my eye. Like, I wasn't a very attractive little girl to be telling she was going to be this like superstar, but she loved us so much and just constantly put us up on a pedestal that both of us, you know, are kind of reaping the rewards of that now.
Nothing like an Irish mammy's love, that's what I say anyway.
That's it, 100%, 100%. And she says her greatest goal in life has been achieved, and that was to raise us to be happy.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So before we move on to what's next, I want to ask you, if you didn't get the title, would you think that would have been the last time we would have seen you in the cage?
I don't know, because I have thought about it during camp, but then I didn't want it to get it in my head too much. So like, for me, time is the thing. Like, the first day I met John and we talked about going on the pro team, I said, I'm going to do this till I'm 34, and then I want to go have a load of kids. And I'm 33 now, so we haven't really spoke about that since. And Alan's told me we're not having kids till I'm 37, but I've got to keep trucking. So I think we would have kept going, but it would have been a harder road. I would have been 6-3. I would have been looking for like a lot of wins and hope maybe a contender series fight, that kind of thing. So
well, you don't have to worry about that now anyway, which is a good thing. So you had mentioned here, look, there's two main options that you can do now. Obviously there's talks of Invicta coming over here and doing a show over here, and obviously the route to the UFC, you pick up a world title, and we see lots of fighters go in there after winning world titles. You want to go to the UFC.
And that's not because I don't love Invicta. I love Invicta. I've never enjoyed a show more. There's like nobody in the audience, and everyone's nice, and all the girls were like fist pumping each other backstage, and the Brazilians can't speak a word of English, and we're like doing sign language all week, and I love it. Invicta's great. Bellator was much more full of testosterone and like lads wanting to kill each other. It wasn't a very, you know, nice environment. But then like, I'm old, I'm 33, this isn't about Invicta, it has to be about me. And at this position I'm at right now, 7-2, Invicta world champion, I need to try and take my chance right now. I need to try and get in there as much as I can. That has to be #1 goal. So my managers spoke to them. They said last week, or McMaynard said he hadn't watched the fight yet, but he'd heard about it and that he was going to sit down and watch it. He was just busy with UFC London. So he was going to sit down and watch the fight. My manager sent him a package of me, hopefully not of me getting dropped. I'm hoping he left them bits out. And he said, we're fully booked till the end of July. So we have no openings for her till after then, but we'll talk next week about her. So as of Friday, he still hadn't got back yet. So we're hoping early this week he's going to talk to my manager. But my manager had spoke to me already this year about the fact that they're not mad about getting people straight in anymore.
Yeah.
They want to run everyone through the contenders.
Right.
So I'm really hoping that's not the case. But if it is the case, it is the case. I know a better woman to fight in the contender series because there sure as hell will be action.
Yeah.
And in front of Dana White, like, I could do anything. I definitely won't do what Sean tells me.
Right.
That is for sure. So look, I'm hoping option one, they say we have an opening end of the summer. Let's give her a shot.
There was a lot of talk also after the fight. Sean O'Bannon fought on the same card, and you know.
Yeah, that's like option 3. Option 2 is the contender,
and option 3.
And option 3 is they tell me you have to defend your title. Because what happened with Velasquez Machado, I don't know.
Well, that's what
they don't speak English. I couldn't find out.
Yeah.
But like, why didn't she get in? Mm-hmm. Now she was 12-3, so they don't like people that have big records that are girls.
Right.
They want fresh, young. They love young. Mm-hmm. They don't like 33-year-olds.
Right.
They like clear records, and that's what they want to bring in. They don't want to bring in people with big records. That Karolina Wojcik girl that went on the contender, they didn't like that she had, like, she was 8-2, 8-3 or whatever she was at the time. He didn't like that. He didn't think she was exciting. He's not interested in her. Mm-hmm. So I hope I don't fall into that category. But I'm exciting. I'm Irish. Conor McGregor's been backing me and has posted about me on his social media. So hopefully that has a big impact on the UFC too, trying to push another Irish person in the UFC. I'm hoping that's going to be a thing as well. So look, if they say I have to defend my title, it's looking like Shannon wants to come to Ireland, mm-hmm. and that Shannon wants me versus Shauna. Mm-hmm. So if it has to happen, it happens. Yeah. But I've been quite open all the way along about the fact that I don't know why the fight has to happen, and I would like to say publicly that I hope everyone knows what the result of that fight is that one of us loses, mm-hmm. and the person that loses has to go on a 3-fight win streak to be back in a run for the title again. And for me, I'm 7-2, she's got a clean record, so it's a lot more risky for me. Mm-hmm. Even if I got 3 clean fights, now what? 10-3, is Dana White going to be interested in me then? So as much as I understand the Irish public and the Irish media are interested in seeing what happens, I have to think about myself, my life and my career, and for me to take that chance with having been a champion now, it doesn't make sense for me. Yeah,
that's fair to say. Like, that would be the more Irish we can get into the UFC, the better. And that's the way I would kind of look at that fight. People are excited about it because it's a great stylistic matchup. You know, it's you know, 2 top strawweights in the country and 2 top strawweights and prospects coming up in the world as well. What I'd love to see is for you to get taken on. Shauna fights over here for the vacant title, and then if she won that, then the both of you would be in the UFC. Would you be more welcoming to the fight happening in the UFC, say if Ireland were to come over for a show next year or something like that?
Yeah, but even then, like, why that doesn't really happen? When do we put English against English? When does that happen in the UFC? The UFC goes over to London, they get all the English lads, Brazilians and Americans, they all win. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know why that would make sense to put 2 Irish people on a main card of an Irish show against each other. Right. Surely they're going to try and build us both up along the way. Look, I'm really not interested in Sean O'Bannon. I'm interested in becoming a UFC world champion. If Sean O'Bannon gets a ranking ahead of me in the UFC, then I want to fight her and I want to take her ranking. But to fight her for the sake of fighting her and become the Queen of Ireland, Sinead Kavanagh is the Queen of Ireland. Right. 100%. She's been around way longer than us. If you look at her resume, what she's done, where she's come from boxing, all that. I don't think I'm ever going to take that title from Sinead, nor do I want to. But for me to fight Shauna for some sort of rivalry to see who's the best, like, honestly, what, she's going to try and knock me out in 1 round like Vanessa Machado did, and then I've got 20 more minutes with her? I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a good fight for her, and I think she should keep her unbeaten record. But I'm not talking shit here. I literally don't want the fight because I don't need to take any risks right now. For sure. I need to get into the UFC. But if the UFC say no in the next few weeks, and it ends up happening, we're going to have a similar camp than what we've already have, and I'm pretty sure they know what the game plan's going to be.
Yeah, 100%. So you're saying that decision is going to be made in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'd be good. So I won't keep you for too much longer. I appreciate the time. It's been great.
Yeah.
I want to save your voice because I know that you've been shouting a little bit this morning. The youths have been going on. That's why we're here in SBG. We're here for the Irish National Championships. The youths have been competing this morning, and we have the finals there tomorrow as well. What have you seen so far? Have you been impressed with what you've seen? And
yeah, well, like, look, I know everyone here. I've seen them go against each other so many times. I knew what the results were going to be before they happened. But the kids are great. Like, there was more entries in the youths this year than there was juniors and seniors. So there seems to be more of an uptake from youths, which is great, and the level is just getting so high. I love the fact there's no headshots, because their grappling just becomes like next level. You know, some of them are so slick, like, in there, and they're all under 18. So it's just so impressive. I think, like, when I'm long gone and I have my belt around my waist and my little kids, I'm going to be watching and saying, oh my God, I'm so happy I don't fight now, because this new generation are just different level. Where
would you like to see, like, youth MMA like transgress to in, say, the next 3 to 5 years?
Like, most 50% of youth MMA, they'll never turn to become amateurs, and they'll never turn to become professionals, because at every level people drop off. But for everyone that does it, I hope they get stronger, more confident, and all of the positive things that happen from competing in a high pressure environment. But for those that do continue on and do want to make it a thing, I hope they still go to school. I hope they go to college. I hope they have great amateur careers. And I think we might have a few of mock AFs where they only end up doing 1 or 2 IMAFs of headshots, and they're already a pro. I'd love to see more UFC champions from it. I'd love to see them making money, having a good career. We've got some big prospects in our gym back home, and you know, there is real possibilities of them becoming pros in the future and making some money for themselves. So yeah, once they're happy doing it and they're still enjoying it, then I'd love to see them going all the way.
Before we finish, you mentioned a lot of the kids back home. They gave you a fair old homecoming too, didn't they? What was that like?
They did. You know, I wasn't supposed to find out, but of course I found out. I was like sitting in the bed in New York, and I was like to Alan, I bet there's going to be like nothing for me now when I go home. I was like, Kay Taylor wins all this and everyone's in the airport. I was like, I'm not going to get anything. And he was like, oh, you will, you'll get something. And I was like, why? And then he told me, he's like, they're doing something in Mullingarry, and I was like, yes.
You were laying a few traps there. You got caught out.
I got them caught out. So yeah, there was like, I don't know, 200 people came, and they made so much food. My fridge is just full and full of boxes of cake, so I'm going to get so fat if I don't do something with that cake this week. But yeah, it was amazing. All the like papers came and radio and everything, and yeah, it was just cool to be appreciated for putting in the work.
Deadly and well deserved. Yeah, well deserved. Look, it's been a fantastic journey so far that you've brought us on. I'm really excited for the next chapter, whether it be UFC, whether it be Contender Series, whether it be defending your title here in Ireland. I'm looking forward to it, and I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today, Danny. It's been a real pleasure.
Thanks so much, Ian, and I feel very lucky to be the first person to see you in person.
There you go.
He is real. He's not just on the TV.
That's it.
And he's much better looking in person.
Oh, Jesus, to make me blush here, Danny. That's great. Thanks very much. Thanks for everybody for watching, and I'll see you the next time.